Did you already get a sip of this?
No. I went to take a sip, and you got all fucking butthurt about me.
Because I wanted you to take a sip while we were actually recording something. So when you
It's delicious.
If you want some melody, just let me know.
The beer's not that bad. I mean,
it's a cheap beer.
that shit's crystal clear. I mean,
It looks like urine.
It's well-hydrated urine. I mean, it's not dehydrated urine. It's like well-hydrated urine.
That's like if you pull into an aid station and that's what your pee looks like. You're like,
stoked.
You're like, I'm good.
You're like, I'm solid, bro.
Yeah, like
let's grab some hot dogs and keep moving.
yeah, let's keep this show on the road. Welcome to Running Beer and BS, a podcast where we discuss those things and a little bit more. I'm Flores.
I'm Johnny.
And welcome to episode 7. Today we're going to talk a little bit about some tips and tricks when you're traveling for races, whether that be a drive or a flight, or I guess a train, but do people still take Greyhounds? Is that still a thing?
I kind of want to take a Greyhound one of these days.
Oh, did I tell you about the Greyhound, the Studderine? Did I tell you about the Greyhound experience that I want to do, the 100-mile run back from Cincy?
No.
I think it's like $6 or $7 to take the Greyhound from downtown Columbus to near like the casino area, I think, in Cincinnati, and then we just run home.
Oh my God.
Like you take the first one out on a Friday.
Yeah.
And then just run home. And you basically take the Erie to Ohio Trail, like that route, home. And I think to Delaware, it's like 104.
Get out of here, really?
Yeah.
I'm down. I would totally do that.
We might need to make a thing out of that.
Oh my God, that sounds so stupid.
Man,
I'm all the way on board.
That was a strict tangent. But we're also going to talk a little bit about this week. I just got done with the Hashua Hills 50K on Saturday. We're recording Monday, just a few hours before this will be released. What time is it now? It is 8:30. This will be released in 3.5 hours, assuming we don't talk for 3.5 hours.
And then we're just going to roll it live.
Yeah. You just, hey, it's going out there. You're hearing it as we're recording it. But I was out in eastern Maryland, not too far from the Baltimore area. So while I was running on the trails, I was talking to some guys about some local beers and the podcast and stuff like that and trying to figure out, I don't know, like something I could bring back that would be like a staple to the area. And what I was told, and they're like, you have to go with National Bohemian because that's like, apparently it's like a staple Baltimore beer, even though the beer has not been brewed in Baltimore or in Maryland since the mid-70s. Pabst bought it, and it has nothing to do with Maryland anymore, but they're like, you know what?
They held on to it.
We're still holding on to it. And
Good
all like
them.
the hipsters are like, this is us. And then we're doing the new school way.
New school hipster.
New school hipster.
We're so fucking hipster. We're out hipstering to hipsters.
Yeah, we'll show you hipsters. And what we're doing is we have this beer lined with a rim of Old Bay seasoning. And if anyone knows what Old Bay seasoning, it's basically what you put on crabs, a.k.a. Maryland, because John and I were talking earlier. Apparently, that's the only thing John thinks Maryland's good for.
And The Wire.
Is The Wire from Maryland?
Yeah, it's in Baltimore.
I've never even seen.
You got to watch The Wire.
There's so much.
Honestly, The Wire. The Wire might be my favorite TV series ever made.
Forever.
I can't think of another one I like more off the top of my head.
Is that HBO or Showtime? It's one of those two, right?
Yeah, it's definitely one of those two.
But yeah, so National Bohemian, rimmed with a little bit of Old Bay.
Rimmed.
We John and I had our first sip at the same time because we didn't want to like react too soon at how it was, and that might be in the intro. So you may have already heard our initial reaction to it, but I don't mind it. I don't mind the beer itself, and I definitely enjoy it with the Old Bay seasoning. What about you, John?
So the beer itself, if no one's ever had this beer, National Bohemian, if you've never had it, it's essentially a lighter PBR. You know what it is? It's PBR light.
Yeah.
It's PBR. That's National Bohemian beer. It's PBR light. I'm not going to lie. I kind of like it. I mean, I'm kind of a lager, pilsner kind of guy anyways, so it's kind of right up my alley. I really like the beer by itself, but and I do love me a good crab cake. So that Old Bay on top of it is really, dude, this is insane. I could honestly, God, I could drink these all year long.
It's not bad,
Like,
and that's
I'm gonna have to go into Barley Hopsters and
and
order.
tell them you need to get this National Bohemian. We got a 6-pack, the whole 6-pack downstairs, so we've got 4 more to drink. We might just cut
Power
break
through
and
tonight.
grab another one. I almost brought another one up here, but I was afraid that I wasn't going to like it.
I do got to admit, they drink really fast. I mean, they're
Yeah.
so light. They're so light, so crisp. You know what?
John's like halfway through his. I've only got a few sips because I'm trying to do all of the audio stuff
I will
at the same
say,
time. But
I did just use the word crisp. They're not really crisp, though. It's extremely light.
it's very light
Yeah.
and just like smooth. There's no like, because initially when I was pouring it, it smelled almost like a Miller.
Yeah.
Like this real pissy urine
Yeah.
type of beer smell, but drinking it, you don't taste that. I don't know if the Old Bay is dampening it, or I can't really say what it is.
I've actually, so the reason I've drank a little bit more than probably you have is because I'm actually trying to drink where I've already drank off the Old Bay, just so I can try to get a true beer taste.
Oh, okay.
And it's not bad. It's so weird that people don't like this beer. They talk shit about this beer.
It's I think it's just because it's old school and it's cheap. I mean, I think I got it I had to get it from a liquor store because I went to the grocery store and they didn't have it. But I thought Maryland you could buy beer in the grocery store. Maybe it was the Safeway I went to. But the town we were in, it was a little college town, like a very small college town.
Do you know what college it is?
McDaniel, something like super small. Like I had never even heard of it. McDaniel sounds right.
Not McMurray?
Not McMurray. No, it doesn't sound right. It's Mick something. McDonald's?
Mick.
So I went into the liquor store area after the race, and it's like I'm stumbling in there already. I smell like ass because he had 50K. And I walk in, and I'm looking around because they're like, hey, you can't miss it. It's a dude that looks like he has a monocle for an eye, and he only has one of them.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, I should be able to find this. I find it. I go to cash out, and I'm like, this is a staple of the area. And she just gives me this look like, please get out of my store.
What?
So I said it twice. I was like, maybe she didn't hear me.
It'll be funnier a second time.
maybe she didn't hear what I said. So yeah, I'm gonna do this again. But I found this pretty cool article when I was doing it of 10 things you didn't know about Natty Boh. We already talked about it's not actually from Maryland. And one thing I found super interesting was they were the reason why 6-pack cans became a thing. In the 40s, they were the first to package as 6-pack cans, and that kind of like took off of why beer was brought into 6-packs.
I feel like if you are any kind of beer fan, you should have tried this beer in your life. With that being said, then, like this is a significant part of beer history.
Yeah, it actually is beer history. And then the caps have these little puzzles on it. And John will take a picture of like one of the caps. You try to see it. It's probably gonna be hard to see the puzzle on it. But apparently, it's actually like there's a Twitter account and called Not Mr. Boh, and then also National Bohemian will tweet and cause issues. But you can solve the puzzle with the puzzle number that's in it. And if you're at a bar and you order a bottle of National Bohemian and they do not give you the cap, you basically call them out on social media and they get people like call them out all over Twitter and stuff like that. Like if you get your bottle and the bartender does not give you your cap and throws your cap away that has your puzzle on it, shit's going down.
Dude, all right, so straight up, these guys are getting followed by us on Twitter.
Oh, for sure.
I
National Bohemian, not yet a sponsor of this podcast.
Holler at your boys. We got your back in OH.
But yeah, it was super interesting. When I first saw it, I thought it was like, all right, we're just going to get this stupid cheap beer. And then the more I started reading into the history and stuff like that, I'm like, you know what? This actually works for the podcast. It's not me just trying to prank John with a crappy beer.
And lo and behold, I like it.
Yeah. And it's like, how about that? Crap. He likes it. It's trick on me. Fool me once. Shame. No, it's fool me twice. Oh.
I like it. I like it a lot.
But yeah, so that's what we're drinking this evening. We'll probably, I want to say we'll call down to Kayla to get me some, but I think if I text Kayla, be like, hey, honey, so can you come in the studio? And
I know we're messing with you while you're trying to watch The Voice.
Yeah, I know you're watching. This is The Voice!
I keep yelling down.
Kayla! Just banging on the ground. Don't start doing it because I will never hear the end of that. That'll be the end of that. But so yeah, we'll get a little bit into the race. in a bit. But John, how was your week?
Yes. So I am trying to think. I ran Tuesday with Scott Wolf. Didn't run Wednesday. Didn't run Thursday. Saturday, I got a really fun. Like Saturday was like one of those days where like the group who I run with a lot on Saturdays, a person in that group may or may not have sent out a text. I'm out. I'm not running in this rain. I'm not doing it. And then it was maybe, well, how about just a little bit? How about we just do this? Nope, I'm out. Pause. Okay, all right, come. You know,
I saw that text, Shay, when I just happened to pick up my phone later in the afternoon, and I'm like, and you know, since I got all the texts at the same, it's like 76 unread text messages, and it's like, oh, I'm not gonna make it. I'm out. Not feeling good. Okay, I'll see you there soon. And I'm just like, what?
So it was hilarious because the person who was like, I'm not going to do it, you know, was we take off on the run, or before you even take off on the run, he's like, all right, well. I just want to do like 3. And I'm like, okay, we'll do 3. And I'm like, hey, how about we go to this, you know, this run that we do fairly often, and, you know, it's to the stop sign. That way at any point you want to turn around, you can turn around, So we were like, okay, cool. We take off, we start running to the sign. We get to the sign, everyone's in full good spirits, everyone's going great. The same person who almost bailed on the run as we're heading back is like, hey, how about we loop up into this old people's housing area and get an extra mile in? Oh, okay, cool. Do that. Same person. We start coming to the cemetery, and we're like, hey, how about we do a loop around the cemetery and get some miles in? We're like, all right. We're going down. He's like, all right, so let's do this, and this. Now to give us our 10 for the day. I'm like, awesome. So, I mean, it just goes to show like what kind of peer pressure goes into running.
Oh, yeah.
The other great development that happened on that run is we had a person who doesn't normally run with us join us, and he is, I think he's pretty well accomplished college runner. It's Zach, Keith.
Okay,
Keith
yeah.
Finn's son.
Yeah.
He ran with us, and when I say ran, that's probably a loose term for him. He basically power walked while we ran. Like, the dude is like...
He was doing his warm-up.
Like, dude is crazy fast. It's so funny because, like, Renee and I were even discussing at one point during the run, like, how many more miles does he need to do at this pace...
Before he's tired?
Before it's even worth him, like, putting on shoes. Like, I mean, you could just tell... Just a great dude, but... Because he was running with us, we got on the discussion of indoor track and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So it ultimately leads into kilometers and like the different events that's in indoor track. And I was like, you know what? Speaking of kilometers, like, anyone been watching the Olympics? And they're like, oh yeah, some people. I'm like, so my dumbass is watching the cross country skiing event, and it is the 5,000 meter. That'll have to be edited. It is the 5,000 meter cross country ski, right? And I'm sitting there watching it, and I'm like watching like the times are throwing down. It's like insane. And in my head, my initial thought was, shit, how far is 5,000? Mind you, for people who don't know, I spent a handful of years in the Army. So everything I've ever measured, you know, in my, late teens, early 20s, even up into my mid 20s was kilometers, meters, clicks, all that kind of stuff. And I was still sitting there in like a stupor, like 5,000 meters. Like, shit, how far is that?
Seriously?
Seriously, I shit you not. It took me like 40 solid minutes before I'm like, you stupid fucker. 5,000 meters is a 5K, you know? And I'm like, okay, 5K.
Carry the one.
So bad enough it took me a lot longer to figure that out. But then I got to thinking, well, shit, let's see. If a 5K is 5,000 meters... And 3,200 meters is 2 miles. So 1,600 meters onto 32 would be 48. So it's a little bit more than 3. And like, it was insane how long I had to break down the math. I'm like... I was like doing the Pythagorean theorem and shit. Like I was like all the way involved in like some deep level.
Like I don't know how, but I've got y squared equals something, and I don't know what happened.
I'm like I had like both shoes and socks off trying to do the math on my hands and toes. I'm like this is and then again like a significant portion later, I'm like oh my god, you dipshit. It's a 5K. It's 3 1/8. Like, why is that so eluding me?
3 1/10.
8th, 10th, 3.1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's a complete difference of the 8th and the 10th.
I think it measures to 3.18 to be extremely precise. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure not. But even then, 0.18 wouldn't be an 8th.
All right. 3 to 10th. 3.1. I don't know why I said 3. So it took me. So here we go again. With like, for some reason, last couple math has like really eluded me.
I think it's 3.12. That sounds right. Just from a 50K is 31.2, isn't it?
Well, for 50,
50K, sorry.
We're not even going down this rabbit hole
gosh.
because So, anywho, this is the problems that I was having
It's
watching.
the problem with the world. We should all have learned the metric system.
The metric system makes so much more sense than
Imperial.
imperial,
Is that what it's called? Imperial or
Yeah.
empirical?
which just sounds
Period.
imperial, which would be imperial.
Dun, 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 dun.
Right. You just sound like some sort of like. So, anywho. We talked about that. Like, as I got in that conversation of telling them about that chewed up a good like mile and a half of them laughing at me for being a dumbass. That was also shortly after that conversation about why I cannot figure out 5,000 to 5K to 3.1. Right after that, Zach brings up a challenge that he heard about someone doing. Have you heard about the guy who is or a guy or a person or people or whatever are trying to do in 1 week? In 1 week, they're trying to do 100 miles and 100 beers.
Every day?
No. In a week.
In a week.
You have 1 week to do 100 beers and 100 miles.
The 100 beers would be the toughest part of that.
Right? So, well, for us, I mean, if you...
but in theory, you could walk/crawl 100 miles in a week. Like, if that's all you wanted to do. But
Right.
to do that and also drink 100 beers.
So Zach brought that
as
up.
long as there are 100 national bohemians.
I hate how much I like this beer. So they brought that. So Zach brings this up. So naturally the discussion begins of, okay, how do you attack this?
Right.
And then I only wanted to clarify, and I shit you not, what I'm getting ready to tell you made Keith laugh so hard, who was running with a chest cold already, so he's already having a hard time breathing, which means he was almost as slow as me. He was already having a hard time breathing. So what I'm getting ready to say made him laugh so hard he had to stop and almost dry heaved in the middle of the road. My simple question was this. The challenge is 100 beers, 100 miles in 1 week.
Right.
I simply asked, are we talking about a 7-day week?
Okay, that makes
Right.
That makes sense.
I just want to make sure we're talking about 7-day week and not like a 5-day work week or something.
Right, like
that.
not your typical work week.
And for some fucked up reason, Keith thought that was like the stupidest, like funniest question I've ever asked in my life. I'm like, bro, if you think that's dumb, you really got to hang around me more often.
You need to listen to this podcast.
Like that was like some intellectual shit that I just asked right there. But he's like, what the fuck else you think we're they do it measured in? So sort of like, and he like some lunar, like he started rambling all kinds of shit. But
he did all this like smart people stuff since he knows way too much.
Yeah, he's way more intelligent than I need to be hanging around with. But yeah, between my dumbass trying to figure out 5,000 meters into miles and whatnot, and then confirming that there are 7 days in a week, evidently in his eyes, like it was
weird.
It was so that was Saturday's run.
5 minutes later, that's what I did on Saturday.
Yeah, and then so also Saturday was so here we go. Let's keep talking about how big of a dumbass I am. It was also this week that I realized the PBR 10K, the PBR 10K that I was super stoked about.
That we were pushing the entire time.
Yeah.
Like, I think since the podcast started,
like,
you've been talking about this
Gotta
race.
come out and run the PBR 10K. No, you don't. And here's why. So come like, I don't know what day it was. I started getting curious because I keep seeing him posting stuff on Facebook about the 10K. And like, I'm like, it's so weird. I haven't seen anything about a route or like packet pickup or anything. So I'm like, what the fuck? So I start diving a little bit deeper into his like about, the about event on Facebook. And that's when I discover, wait a fucking second. This isn't a goddamn 10K, like 10,000 meters. It's called the PBR 10K because he has 10,000 PBRs.
John texted me. It was like, I can't find this course map anywhere. And I hadn't really looked at the website at all. So I pulled up the website and I'm looking. And then I just see the thing. It's like drinking 10,000 PBRs. And I'm like, oh, shit. We've been pushing a race that isn't actually a race.
What's so funny is I had at that moment I realized, oh my God, how big of an asshole would I have looked like if I would have showed up in like shorts and like some running shit, you know?
Oh, that
I would have looked like such an asshole. So
where's Packet Pickup at? Do you guys have any extra safety pins?
So that happened to me also that day. But so the PBR 10K did not happen. Although I did see some people posting that they were there. It looked like a really good time.
I didn't check anything out of it.
So that didn't happen. But what did come true for me Saturday night was we had the Delaware Lacrosse pub crawl. And
I was seeing a little bit of that stuff you posted on Instagram. I saw you walked home.
That was a smart move, my son.
Well, I've never phrased. Not that you should have been driving home.
Yeah.
Where was the missus at?
Not feeling great. Not feeling. She had to call off work that day. She was feeling so under the weather. So
you did the thing any good husband does and leave her and go drink.
At that point, she was feeling so bad. She's like,
"Please leave."
Go. Yeah,
Gotcha.
like it had gone that far down
I'm
the
just
rabbit
trying to
hole
make you
for
sound
her.
horrible.
I know, but I'm not. Everyone knows how great of a guy I am. So,
Jen, go ahead and comment on this podcast.
so that night so what's funny is it had been kind of drizzling all day that day, and I've been walking around in like a semi waterproof jacket, and I'm like, oh yeah, no problem. I'll just walk home. And so from the last stop that night, which was Brazen Oak, is that what it's
Oak
called?
and Brazen.
Oak and Brazen.
Yeah.
From there, I went ahead and just mapped it back. I used that Footpath app, and I mapped it back. It is 2.57 on the nose to their front door back to the house. The way I went. So
Yeah.
I'm like, 2.5, no big deal. Like I said, start off maybe a light drizzle. I made it from Oak and Brazen. I made it less than probably 2 city blocks. Like I'll put it this way. I didn't even make it to Stas.
Wow.
And it was like the boosh, and it just started to drop. And I'm like, you got to be. So I'm like, screw it. I put my headphones in and just walked. I got home, and I mean, I have went through some events where I've gotten really wet. I don't know that I've ever been more wet than I was when I got home.
Well, the crazy thing too is it's not like you're wet during a run.
Right.
Like you were out.
Yeah.
And then just soaked.
So it was. I was absolutely soaked. I think I ruined one of our Mophis that I had a Mophie pack with me. I think I ruined it from where I got wet. But that ultimately led into Sunday's run, where I woke up at 10:30 in the morning and shut off of that our group text message like, yeah, no running for Johnny for a few. Like, there's like zero chance I can even fathom getting up.
Not this morning.
What's impressive is 3 of us did get together and get some miles in on about 1 o'clock. We got and then so again, someone at that running group was like, I've been trying to get X amount of miles in a week, and I just need 7 today, and like multiple times tried to bail on it, and we're like,
that's why it's tough running with you guys, because it's like, this is all I want to do. Or like the one run we did a few weeks ago where I was like, all right, this is fine. And I was like, oh, I was actually like a quarter mile short. And Mark's like, start it back up. We're going around the block. And I'm like,
fire it up.
No, like we can stop.
No,
it's allowed.
So it was actually Mark that was like, oh yeah, and if I get 7 in, I'm hitting this little like imaginary goal that I've kind of made up for myself. And I'm like, well, and then poor Keith, man. So like I said, he had that chest cold Saturday.
Yeah.
Sunday, he was still like in a world of hurt. He was still like coughing and going on, which, I mean, I love Keith to death, but a little chest cold for him.
Yeah. Like, thank you for making me feel like you're now mortal. Thank you.
Which I don't really want him. If he hears this, what sucks is he's put the hurting on us next week when we run.
Oh yeah.
Even with
pay for that one.
Even with his chest cold, I am firmly aware that he could still like run me into the ground. So anywho, that was my Saturday and Sunday. So yeah, it was basically 2 fun running days of making fun of myself and realizing I am a fucking dumbass.
Realizing that kilometers are hard in both how do you count them and also there's not races.
How many beers are there? Yeah. So it was like it was a bizarre week. So
yeah, I went into the weekend, obviously heading into Maryland, into the Oshawa Hills 50K. It was a really good race. I was kind of concerned with like I don't know, the setup of it. Like the registration, the lottery was like at the end of, or the middle of January. We talked about the lottery system in like the Dow Jones or whatever. So it was like the middle of January this registration or the lottery started. Then you find out less than like right at a month before the race, like if you got into it. I'm like, all right, that seems just like, it seems like one of those like fat ass runs where they're just like
yeah.
put on for no reason.
Well, they also must expect, like, they expect whoever enters that race that they just stay kind of like 50K prep.
Yeah, and that's kind of how it played out. So I was worried about that, and then there wasn't a course map at all on the website. No course map. I had no idea. I put a little screenshot on my Facebook about like the course details, and it was like, yeah, we changed the out and back a little bit, and when you come back, just be careful of the cliffs. And I'm like, what does that mean? What do you?
They'll just jump up and grab you.
Yeah, like I don't understand. What do you mean? There's cliffs, but you're not telling me where on the course. What when you say cliff? Like technically, I'm thinking a cliff is just like anything that falls off. Like, is it 10 feet? Is it 100 feet?
That goes back to the fact that when you said, was the elevation change or just a gain?
The gain was so the gain on my Garmin said just over 3.
Okay,
on Strava, it said 3.8.
Okay, so the elevation change was anywhere from 6 to 70 something odd.
Yeah, 6 to almost 8.
Yeah, so which is so let's just call it 7,000 plus
Yeah.
or minus 500.
Right.
Probably.
And this is in Eastern Maryland.
That's what threw me for a loop.
That's why I saw hills. I'm like, okay, hills. Like
Yeah.
it's like when we're in Ohio and we talk about hills, and we've got some parks that are hilly, but there's nothing like we're not climbing mountains like
it's
out
like
west.
when people in Colorado hear us talk about hills, we're like, okay, that's
Right.
cute.
Yeah, that's cute, bro. Try that again.
Yeah.
So it was really weird, like getting there, but I'll get into the hills. But I wanted to make sure I threw this out. This race was run by the Virginia Happy Trails Running Club. And first, when I heard that, I was like, all right, you're a bunch of hokey fat people that don't know how to do trail runs, and this is going to be miserable.
Sounds like a bunch of hippies.
It wasn't, though, surprisingly. The people that I ran with and I met were like crazy ultra runners. I
Really?
ran with a lady, I think in the last 5K, she has 500 plans 500s planned
Oh
this
my
year.
gosh.
She's doing UMSED in a few weeks. She only did this race because she was like, yeah, I just need it as a training run. I'm doing 20 tomorrow as well. But for the
Makes
race
sense.
itself, it rained like 90% of the time. It only rained hard for like a half an hour to an hour, which made the trails like super muddy. And I equated it to, I would say every muddy part of the trail was Bigfoot Trail in like the shittiest times when we have like possum runs.
Yeah.
That Bigfoot, that outback section.
Yeah.
There's the outback section of this course. You have to like go out, you get a rubber band. You have to do
Oh, I
it
kind
twice.
of like that idea.
Well, it's funny. First loop you go, it's a thick rubber band. The second loop you go, it's a thin rubber band. So you can't take 2 rubber bands. Like he goes, magically the rubber bands get thinner, and literally you go there and there's no more thick rubber bands. I'm like, how did they get out here? Because we were deep in some woods, and I was like, I'm pretty sure I saw crosses burning, and it was a scary time for little Flores.
How close is that to like West Virginia, and all that kind of stuff?
Not at all. It was relatively close to the Pennsylvania border.
I'm looking at his 50 maps.
Yeah, so I'll point to it. I don't have the microphone. It was like right there.
So it's like Central Maryland.
Yeah, well, it was closer to the East Coast. It was right between Hagerstown and Baltimore. It was only like 45 minutes from Baltimore. Hence the reason for the National Bohemian.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a really cool race. Super hilly though. Like we'd hit some hills. And, we're running. It starts off, you go around a corner, you hit this like hilly road. You get on a road to get to another trail.
Yeah.
You get on the trail, you turn a corner, and you're just going straight up. And you're like, all right, like this is probably the biggest climb. You get to the top of it, you turn another corner, and you're still going up. I'm like, I don't remember seeing these hills from the road. Like we're going up.
Yeah.
And I don't ever remember this stuff happening going up.
Huh.
So it's super weird. We get to one point after the cliffs. So we have the out and back with the muddy. We hit some cliffs, which are literally like a 25-foot drop on muddy ground with nothing. And you're just like, this is very dangerous. And this is
it.
And this is on the first loop. So the second loop, I know I'm screwed. Because
Yeah.
my legs are going to be tired.
And it's going to be muddier. I mean, it's,
Right.
the course
we hit a part, man. I swear I could have grabbed the dirt in front of me. That's how high this one section was. It wasn't very long, so maybe a tenth of a mile, quarter of a
Yeah.
mile. But when you're hiking like that, it's hard. Get to the top of that. There's a rope climb. because the hill is way too steep. They actually have a rope tied to a tree so you can pull yourself up the hill.
Dang.
And I'm like, I'm in Maryland. And I'm not on the AT. If I was on the AT, I would understand.
I guess when I think of Maryland, I only think of the section of Maryland that is east of the bay.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, you forget that there's like that long stretch of Maryland that like goes south.
Yeah, I mean,
of
the AT goes straight through it.
It is weird to think of Maryland like that. Like, it is a bizarre thing.
Yeah, so it was a really cool race. It was a 2-loop race, so it was kind of interesting to see the first loop and come back around and do the same thing. It was a little short. It was just under 30 miles is what my watch said. So it's hard to say. People had distances from all over, though, so it could have been my watch. No one had exactly 50K.
Yeah.
But some people had a little more than me. Some people had a little less. So I'm thinking that 30 miles is probably...
Did anyone have over 50K?
I know. Not anyone that I saw. No one that I was with had over 50K, but... A couple guys I just want to call out. There was 2 guys I met. When he said his name, I was like, "You're bullshitting me." He's like, "I'm Blaze, and that's Junior." I'm like, "Sure, bro." Sure, bro. But super nice guys. Were like in their mid-20s. It was their second ultra they were doing. They did the North Face. That's in DC.
Yeah.
They're doing it again this year. Super great. I was hanging with them. They were fast. So I would hang with them. They'd hit the downhills and they'd just like go. I'm like, I could tell you're new at this ultra thing because you're just flying. And then when they get to the uphills, you thought a train hit them. So I was like, all right, I got my Rutherford power hike going in. I catch back up to them on the hills and then we hit a downhill. And I'm just like, well, have fun, guys. See you at the finish.
See you on the hill up.
But yeah, there was prairies. There's a lot of stuff. I'm actually this is going to be my shameless plug for my YouTube channel. I'm doing a full race recap video on my YouTube channel, and then I'm also going to do a full race report that I write on the blog as well. So I'm not gonna rant on here, but I would highly recommend if you're looking for a really cool ultra to do in Maryland. It was $19.25. Every year they drop it by 10 cents. So next year it's $19.15.
So we've discussed that. At what point does that bottom out?
I don't know. Before the race director cares.
I mean, that's so weird.
It was the weirdest thing, too. The pre-race stuff, he's giving the instructions, and this is literally how you hear. There's like 100 people in this room, and he goes, so what we're going to do is you're going to follow these big flags, and then if you see red, the reds, it's, yeah. I'm just like, can you speak up, bro? Yeah, it's just a red. You follow. Any questions? Can you repeat all of that? I don't know anything.
What just
and I'm
happened?
like, and there, half the people couldn't hear, but I think most of them have just done the race. But it was a pretty cool trail community. I highly recommend it. We'll have all the links there. It is a lottery, but there wasn't too many people on the wait list this year. So I think it's just, yeah, I don't know when it's going to bottom out as a thing, but got a cool mug as a finisher's award. I'll post a picture of that on the socials, but that is enough of talking about our weeks. We kind of went off of a real tangent there, but you know what? That's why you guys listen to this. You guys listen to this podcast for the BS. I don't think it's because of the running in the beer.
No,
I'm not.
It's definitely not because of the running knowledge.
Yeah. No, I didn't say running knowledge. I just said because of the running talk. Because we don't have the knowledge of it.
What's fun is I was talking to somebody. I was talking to Mark yesterday on our run. Yesterday I was talking. He's like, so what are you guys going to talk about this week? And I told him what we were going to talk about, and I said, really though, it's going to boil down to Jonathan talking more than I am, because my ideas of like how to pack for a run, like on travels, is like I'm like I put way too much faith in like the airline industry that my shit will get there. Because that one thing you had mentioned, I'm like, well, hell, I've never even thought about that.
Let's get into that.
Yes,
we'll go a little bit back and forth between the trail and run as we usually do. They're similar in fact of the actual getting to the location, kind of the pre-race logistics when you're at the location is a little different between trails and run. But so when you travel, we'll go the furthest now. So we're saying airline. We're getting airline. So you just say like I'm checking everything.
Yeah.
There's no way. I don't check my luggage when I'm going to work for New Jersey, like going to New Jersey for work. Like, not happening.
Yeah.
You're going to lose my pair of dress shoes.
It's so weird. I've never even thought about it. Like, I've just never, ever feared the airline losing. It's so funny because, like, I see that kind of shit and I think, who the fuck does that really happen to?
A lot of people.
Well, so what's funny is a couple months ago when I went down to Mexico, right, for our work trip, we had like 4 people lose their shit. And then I'm like, that's just because she flew into Mexico. Like, it doesn't even dawn upon me that shit, like, it doesn't.
That's not like a real problem to you.
Yeah, I'm like, that's strictly because like you had like, let me guess, because they give us these goofy ass little tags that says Millionaires Club, just because that's how much you sold to get in a club. So I'm like, let me guess, your dumbass put the Millionaire Club on there, so
someone took it thinking it was
dude handling the baggage sees it says millionaire. He's like, rummage through your shit. That's why your stuff's lost. It's not lost. It's fucking
not,
stolen.
Yeah, no, it's delayed because they had to go through it.
Yeah. So I've just never done. So great example when we went out to Tahoe, right? When I went out to Tahoe, I bought a Patagonia black hole duffel bag. And I filled that bitch with everything I could possibly think I would need, and to include every single one of my running shoes, all my shorts,
There's no way.
all my chow, all my nutrition, everything, running vest, everything was in that black hole bag. There you go, Southwest. See you in Reno. And I didn't think anything of it.
There's no way.
So when you had made that comment, like, you're an idiot, you seriously do that. Like, I don't pack. And I was like, well, damn, that makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. So to like further prove that you're obviously the one that's more right here than I am, I was talking to Mark about this, and he brought up a good point. That professional cyclist, there's two things that they never ever it goes in their carry on. There's two things that always go in their carry on. Their shorts and their shoes. They said everything else for a professional cyclist is fuck. I can figure that out there.
Yeah.
They said the shorts and the shoes are more important than the bikes. The bikes could be like, you're like, because they have, I guess now I sit and I think about watching the few times I've watched like the Tour de France, they do have multiple bikes that they'll rip off the top.
Right, they'll have like a trailer. Or
like they have bikes that they prefer, but to them, like the shoes and the shorts were way more important.
Yeah.
So again, when I was talking to Mark about this, I'm like, yes, basically Jonathan talking about like really smart ideas, because like I'm just like, fuck it, throw in a bag and it'll get there.
I just can't. Like I said, when I travel regularly, I don't check anything, and I think it's too because Kayla's dad used to work for the airline, so like from a speed standpoint, we would never check anything. Like if it didn't fit in our carry-on, we weren't bringing it. Like that's as simple as it is. So like when I go on races and stuff like that, my shoes, all of my camera gear, I don't check anything. I try to make sure I can get it into a single bag. Hashtag minimalism.
So what do you do? Oh boy. So what do you do about like gels and nutrition and
under
stuff
3
like
ounces?
So you have just like so all the little gels are under 3 ounces.
Yeah.
So you just have like just a shit ton of those like packed into a carry bag.
Also, I've never run Tahoe. When I've headed out to different, so I've went out to what? I've gone to California, I've been to Hawaii.
Yeah.
Hawaii, I had to bring some stuff. California, I just got it at the expo.
Yeah.
I couldn't get anything at Hawaii because I knew I was going to be late there. But I'll pick up some extra stuff in the expo if I need to.
Yeah.
But no, I just put it in like a gallon Ziploc bag. And that's where all of my nutrition is. So all of my gels sit in that. Anything that's going to come into that 3 ounce or whatever, because technically it's not a liquid, it's a gel, so it shouldn't have to be in there. But I know how TSA is, so I don't deal with it. And I go a step further. TSA pre-check, bro. I pay that $85 because I'm not taking off my damn shoes. It's $85 for 5 years. The amount I travel, it's so worth. I don't take off my shoes. I don't take my laptop out of my backpack. That by far is worth $85 for me. Or
you can just wear slide-on sandals.
No.
Yeah. See, I'm
an adult.
Bro, I wear like slide-on tennis shoes, and I pack all my shit. It all gets checked. I'm like, there y'all go.
Gosh, that's just, I don't know. It's mind-boggling.
So I was really impressed when I heard how much you put into that, and like.
Yeah, I try to make sure I have everything with me that I need. Like, God forbid something happens to my bag. I can still go on with the race. So like I won't, if I needed to check for whatever reason, I would have at least one running outfit with me. So a shirt, shorts, socks, and my shoes. I always have the shoes checked or carry on.
Yeah.
I have one outfit carry on. And if I need to check something, the rest of it will get checked.
So I'm assuming what you would prefer to run in is what you have.
Correct.
Carry on. And then everything else gets checked.
Everything else gets checked, so I have different options because I'm the kind of guy, and Kayla Kayla hates it. I mean, I'm the guy that's like the night before, I've got like 3 sets of outfits laid out. And like, but if the temperature changes by 3 degrees, I think I need, I don't know which hat should I wear, honey? Should I wear this hat, or should I wear this Boko hat, or should I wear this trucker hat, or this? She's like, it's a stupid hat. Just put it on.
But it clashes with the shirt.
Yeah, but then it's got to match. So it's like it's got to match semi.
God.
I don't match. I don't go to that length, but I make sure.
Don't you though?
Not that bad. There is certain things where I'm like, well, that obviously like doesn't match at all. But Kaylee gives me shit all the time when I go race. She's like, that shirt doesn't match with shorts. I'm like, well, these are my favorite shorts, and this is the shirt I want to wear because it's comfy.
It's so I guess in the grand scheme of things, when I think about it, the only time I've really traveled far for a run was Tahoe.
Okay.
Everything else has been like to Mohican or up to Michigan. Went up there and ran Hallucination. And I'm looking at your map trying to think, and I think that is it. So like,
that's really the first. That's all you've.
That's all I've traveled for races. Everything else has been.
Yeah, you do a lot in the area.
Everything else has been in Ohio, or
out east,
or
New York.
in New York where I have family.
Right. So there's not too much worry there.
So I had noticed you like talking about like strategically picking places to stay and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was like, let's see, have I strategically picked? Oh no, Chad Hill did that for me for Tahoe.
Like, oh no, they did everything for me. And it's funny because John and I are literally both here looking at the map on the wall.
So Chad Hill totally took care of Tahoe for me. So again, because he's way more logistically minded than I am, clearly. and then Michigan, if anyone is ever looking for like any race distance whatsoever, and you're just stumped, Michigan Woodstock has literally every race you could want, and it's at a campground. So you bring a fucking tent and you camp right there. So I've never even thought about that. So, and then the handful of times I've ran at Mohican, I've been lucky enough to know Jamie Berrier, for example. His family has a cabin up there.
Right.
Or the Wells have a camper out a little ways away from there. So I've always just been fortunate enough to where I've never really had to quote unquote fend for myself and figure stuff out.
Yeah, see, I've done, and you can see it from the blog, and there'll be a link in the show notes, but you'll see I've done most of the East Coast now. So I've gone down to Florida, I flew to, we drove to Georgia, drove to Alabama, drove South Carolina, North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee, Kentucky. So we drive a lot of places because the little puppy, I'm not paying $75 each way to use as a carry-on.
So $85 so you don't have to take your shoes off. Okay.
But $85 for 5 years, not $75 each way. That's $150.
That's your daughter.
And it takes a carry-on. Yeah, we just drive though. So Kayla and I have a limit. If it's 12 hours or less, we drive it. So we split it into 2 days. We'll do 6 hours a day if we have to. But
you strategically pick out what hotel you're going to stay in and all that kind of stuff, right?
So we'll plan out. So like for instance, when we headed to Maryland was only like an 8-hour drive to where we were at Maryland. But my in-laws have a farm, so we stayed at the farm halfway. We drove halfway one night, then went and stayed the night before the race. But it's like, all right, where's going to be a decent place for the race? Where, how far is the race from the hotel? And does it have breakfast for Kayla? Because obviously I'm not eating the breakfast. Does it have breakfast for Kayla? Is it near other stuff that she can do? Or is it near the expo? Or is it too freaking expensive?
Let me ask you this then.
Yeah.
If the race is a out and back, do you stay closer to the starting line or to the finish line of the race?
You mean a point to point?
Sure.
Because out and back would be the same. Man, that National Bohemian's going to the dome.
What is this, a whopping 4%?
I don't know the bottles there. Take a look at it. So point to point. That's I've only done, how many point to points have I done? I've only done 1 point to point, and it was Big Sur. No, lies. I've done Grandma's and Big Sur. I've done Grandma's and Big Sur, but both of them bust you out to the start and then bring you back.
Okay.
So they bust you out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Big Sur, you get screwed if you stay out on Big Sur because the road's closed the entire race, so you can't get back.
No shit.
It's the only road that gets you from Big Sur back to I'm gonna mess this up. It's not Monterey. Yeah, it's Monterey.
Yeah, Monterey.
Is it?
Monterey.
They that's the only road they get you from there. So if you stay in Big Sur and want to see near the start,
Yeah.
you have to wait for everyone to pass by that point. Then you have to go around the mountain to get to the race, to get to the finish area. So it's like that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So those Kayla for that one and Grandma's, Kayla saw me at like mile 10 at Grandma's because she was able to go out. But Big Sur, she dropped me off at 3 a.m., 3:30 in the morning. I bust out to the start, and she saw me at the finish line. That's the only place she saw me on the entire race.
Just imagine how much wine she drank in that time frame.
Well, she was with a buddy, so she didn't have
A lot. The answer's a lot.
The answer is all of it. This past week, so at the 50K, since we didn't have the course, I couldn't figure out where the hell she was going to be to see me.
Yeah.
So she saw me at the start and at the second lap. So drops me off at the start, goes to Chick-fil-A, gets breakfast, come back, takes a nap, wakes up, sees me in my second loop, goes to Chick-fil-A and gets lunch.
That's awesome. That is awesome. That sounds like something like Jid's a huge Chick-fil-A fan. That's right up her alley. Yeah. So yeah, it's like so all this like traveling stuff. I've never really thought about some of it. I'm quite honestly, I don't even want to have to think about some of that stuff.
How do you stay? Do you stay or so not even like a travel thing because obviously you want all of your luggage to get lost.
Yeah.
Do you have like any sort of like storage plan or how do you organize everything for like Mo and stuff like that? Because obviously you'll have crews and stuff. How do you organize that stuff when you're traveling?
So I have again all my clothes go into like my black hole bag, right? So try to think of it like those little Russian dolls. So I have everything in that black hole Russian bag.
Russian nesting dolls.
Yes. So think of it like that. I have everything in that big, huge black hole bag. And then down from that, because at Mo, you have multiple drop points and you have obviously the loops you come in on. I'll go as far as to put in every 1 gallon bag, I'll put in a pair of shorts, a shirt, and a pair of socks. That I would want to have at one. That way, if something gets wet,
so like a set of it, like came in the bag.
I'll have a full set in a bag, and then I'll mark on the bag like, okay, I want this to go to this destination. I want this to go to this destination. I want this to stay at this, and all that kind of stuff. So I'll have all those bags broke down. That way, if I ever want any one thing, I know, hey, go find this bag.
Right.
And then as far as like nutrition, I went to the Container Store, which for an ultra runner, the Container Store is like fucking heaven.
There's one of those at Easton, right?
Yeah, well, that's the one. As a matter of fact, that's the one I go to. And then, coincidentally enough, it's right around the corner from REI too. So
you leave Easton broke.
Yeah. So take a loan out, go to Easton. But so the Container Store. So I went to Container Store and I got 2 huge. I don't even know how big they are. I mean, huge. So.
Sorry, huge. I couldn't help it.
So I don't know. They're probably 4 foot long, 2 feet wide, and probably about 2 feet deep. I mean, they're good size.
Yeah.
But inside that, I put all my nutrition, all my first aid stuff, different water bottles if one breaks, different hydration vest in case one tears. So everything's in there. And then inside of that, even I then break down into smaller containers from the Container Store, like all my nutrition. Like this container has like chews. This container has waffles. This container has gels, and then so on. And it's all compartmentalized. So if I come in, I'm like, fuck caffeine. I can't do any more caffeine. And they know, hey, this gels are in here, and
right.
they can find stuff.
Those aren't the caffeine ones or whatever.
Yeah.
I have saw some things online about people using like tackle boxes and stuff like that, but I haven't found like any. I don't want a tackle box that has like 15 drawers.
So Chad Hill has a really cool stuff, and so I kind of stole my idea from Chad, where he had everything kind of compartmentalized, and so that's what I did. He just has a way nicer setup than I do. His is more compact, and a little bit better divvied up. Mine is almost too big because with that extra space, I've gotten really like lenient with fuck it,
just throw some more stuff in there,
and like so that thing, and I believe I think I have 2 of them, so it's fucking ridiculous the amount of shit that I will pack in. I'm like. And at one point, I was like, I'm going to bring this for every run I go to. And I'm like, this is fucking dumb because you never know. Like,
right.
Wet wipes. There's a compartment for wet wipes. Now, here's what's really dumb. I have multiple packets of wet wipes. Now, Carolyn Morgan can tell you, how many times does my dumbass carry wet wipes when I go for a run?
Never.
That'd be a big fat 0. Thank God for Carolyn, who's always like, here you go, Johnny. Here's my wet wipes.
Here's the wet wipes.
Yeah.
So funny wet wipes thing. The Blaze in the race this past weekend, every once in a while, he would just either like trot further down the trail ahead of us or like back off. I'd look around and he wasn't there because we ran together for a good portion of this race. And I was like, where did he go? And he's like, I think he's got to poop again. I'm like, what? And then we're probably 21 in. And he goes, well, hope I don't need to poop anymore. He's like, bag's empty. And I'm like, dude, it's a 50K. Like, you shouldn't have to poop that many times. Like, you need to check that diet out.
Well, it sounds like at least he's eating. Like that's impressive. He managed to poop that many times.
I think it was at least 4 or 5 times. God. Like in the woods, because there's we're in the middle of nowhere at that point. But
I do thoroughly enjoy it. That's one of my favorite things about trail running, though, is the fact that Mother Nature's your toilet. It is the best. There's something really nice.
I'm going to poop here.
Yeah. I just really enjoy finding like a log that has fallen, like a tree that has fallen.
And make it a seat.
And then it's like sitting and then dangling your ass off the back. And it's like the perfect toilet. Like, I don't know why. I thoroughly enjoy that.
It's the little things in life.
Little things in life.
Hashtag
trail running.
Hashtag trail running, yeah, for sure. So when you go, I know you haven't done too many races outside of the state or even not too far of a drive, but like when you did the pig once or how many times? Twice? Did you do the pig or just once?
No, I've only done the pig once. So that's good. So going back to like, because I don't do enough like traveling stuff,
that's why you don't have to worry about it.
Yeah. I kind of accidentally fucked me and the other people that was running the pig with me that day, because when I went to look for hotels, instead of thinking well in advance that, hey, this might sell out, like maybe, just maybe, there would be more than just me and my friends going to run this fucking marathon that's nationally known. So I waited a little too long, and then my options were limited. But then the other thing I did is I just naturally looked for the hotel chain that I stay at. Right. Like I'm like, for some dumb reason, I was loyal to a fault, and I'm like, oh, I always stay at Holiday Inns. I will look for a Holiday Inn.
You'll find the Holiday Inn.
So the Holiday Inn I found was on the Covington side, way west of where the start and finish was.
Near the airport? Or is the airport out east?
I have no clue. I will tell you this. It was a long fucking walk. and like, there were some people not happy with me when we made the walk.
Yeah, that's one thing. I like logistically, I find where the hotels are at. I find where everything is because I think it's it's probably the complete opposite of what you use. I've done it so many times traveling for races. I mean, right now I'm not repeating states. The only repeating race I've been doing was Possum.
Yeah.
Other than that, every race I've done is in a brand new state going somewhere else.
Yeah.
So I think that's what's helped me with like the traveling thing. But like when you go to New York and stuff like that, I'll tell my little side of it. But how early do you get to those places? I know you've got family there, so it's a little different. But like if you're going for the race, do you go there like too early, or like do you get the day before, or like what's your game plan to like get in to go for the race?
So I think you have to be. I think a lot of it has to do with where the race is and where the race is and what kind of climate you're used to. Right. So for us flatlanders, for us like Ohio, Kentucky, Indiana, Michigan, Pennsylvania kind of people, if you have any thoughts of going to Utah, Idaho, Nevada, Arizona, California, Oregon, anywhere out west, and you think you're going to run...
We're going to Washington, D.C.
Yeah. So if you're going...
I got to find that Howard Dean video.
So if you're going out west and you're going into altitude, you better get there like 3 days early and allow yourself to acclimate. So that's one thing. When we went to Tahoe, we got there early, and we allowed our bodies to acclimate.
Here we go.
Oh, wait for it.
Oh, I'll have to fast forward this.
If you had told us 1 year that not only are we going to New Hampshire, Tom Harkin, we're going to South Carolina and Oklahoma and Arizona and North Dakota and New Mexico. And we're going to California and Texas and New York. And we're going to South Dakota and Oregon and Washington and Michigan. And then we're going to Washington, D.C. to take back the White House.
Do you remember the Dave Chappelle bit of that?
And here's the crazy thing. He seems perfectly sane now. So, yeah, as far as like when to get there, again, like.
So you're thinking just from the climate standpoint. So like when or the climate and the environment, I guess.
Yeah.
When we go to races, one thing that my buddy Dr. Mike told me about, he recommends getting there 2 days before and making sure you hit up the expo. Obviously for road races, you're hitting up actual expos. Trail races usually don't have expos. You just have to like pack and pick up the day before the race usually. But for the road races, the expos usually last in a few days beforehand. You kind of want to make sure that you hit the expo up early because then you're spending your time on your feet that day.
Is it hilarious that I think it's funny that he's worried about the amount of time on his feet at an expo?
It is.
I mean,
except he's trying to get sub 3, so he's a little different.
So I mean, this is a guy who we're talking about who's trying to crack like sub 3s. So like,
hopefully he's hopefully supposed to be visiting in the next few months. And I told him, I'm like, hey, if you're here on a recording day, we'll let you talk for just a little bit, and then I'm going to mute your microphone because you're going to make it sound like jackasses.
I mean, it's just hilarious. Like, oh, I couldn't possibly be on my feet for like 30 minutes. I'm like, get the fuck out of here, bro. Like,
I remember when we did Atlanta, we went to the expo, we got some chicken and waffles at Gladys Knight's restaurant, I think, in off Peachtree.
Yeah.
And we went back to the house, and the day before the race, we were at a Little League game for a little bit, and then after that, like, God, I don't think I got 50 steps in that entire day, man.
Really?
After that, like, it was only but
now clearly
I ran a 3:59, so it's like,
well, I mean, clearly what he's talking about works. I mean, this is a dude, like who he's. I mean, he's hitting sub 3s. Right. So I mean, I probably should.
But it's also the same.
Shouldn't be poking fun at him for it, but it's so fucking funny.
It's one of those things where you're just like, it sounds ludicrous, like, oh, you can't be on your feet for 30 more minutes, but it's like, was that the 30 minutes that could have done it?
Right.
Probably not. There's probably, he helped me train in all aspects. So like all of my nutrition, all of my training leading up to. So it could be the work that I did to put into it before then. But yeah.
But what's weird is I didn't even, I guess, like, for example, Columbus's expo is only is it 2 days before?
It's 2 days before.
Is it? So, man,
it's Friday. It may be Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. It's for sure Friday and Saturday.
Oh, that's right, because they run it on Sundays, don't they?
Yeah.
So, yeah, see, that's another thing. Like, I'm so used to stuff happening on Saturdays that it doesn't even, like, dawn upon me, like, hey, dumbass, don't go to that the day before and stand around for 4 hours.
Right.
Buying bullshit marked up price stuff at expos.
You're like, I need this, though. You're like, but do you really?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it may be priced just a little bit lower, but when you buy 6 pairs of shoes, they still made a lot of money off of you.
So this year at New York, when we was out there, like the Hoka booth, I was trying to get them to like come down on price on stuff.
We kept walking right back by. He's like, "What about this?" And she's like, "This is the price of it."
She's like, "I seriously don't think you get it."
Yeah, okay, I'll be back. I'll be right back.
She's like, "I seriously don't think you get it." And I'm like, "But look, it's right here on runningwarehouse.com." She's like, "I don't care what they have."
Yeah,
I'm like, and what's funny is out of sheer spite, I said, "Buy."
Yeah.
Right in front of her, she's like, "Fucking cool for you, dude.
Yeah,
Go away."
Sounds cool, bro. I'm making $8 an hour. I don't really care.
I hate you. Go away.
But yeah, as you can tell from our little ranting back and forth, traveling is something that apparently I do a lot better than John.
Yeah.
There's not very many things I do that. But yeah, I think it's about staying focused in like where you're going to stay, what you're going to do, just kind of having a plan. I mean, I think that's the biggest thing. I mean, it's almost like anything we talk about is having a plan beforehand, but trying to set yourself up for success. You want as few things to go wrong as possible. So I think, I mean, that's the kind of thing. I'll shout up a few websites that I use. I prefer hotels.com to book stuff. I don't like this Trivago bullshit. Trivago! Why visit 15 websites? Shut the hell up, you old geezer. It's just so... I go to hotels.com. Every 10 nights, you get a night free.
Really?
Yeah. And it basically takes an average of your night spent, and that's your night free. You get that cost.
Really?
So every 10 nights, I do it. And that's all I've used.
Wait. You don't use Airbnb?
It depends. So we found a lot of the Airbnbs, especially going with the puppy.
Yeah.
When you find ones that allow dogs, they really allow dogs. Like it's like, it's real creepy.
Like that place up in Michigan.
Which
when we went up for North Country.
Oh God, that freaking hotel in Cadillac, Michigan.
We could have made like another 15 dogs out of amount of hair that was in there.
Gosh, there was still dog food like underneath the door. Like, it's a clean room. I'm like, no, it's not. Like, we'll give you a free breakfast. I'm like, that's not what I want.
Who's standard?
But there was 3 hotels in all of Cadillac, Michigan. So it's like, where else could I stay? There was an Airbnb there. It was in the middle of the woods. And I'm like, I'm pretty sure I saw like a well and a guy go, squeal like a pig.
That was a good brewery, though. I had forgotten about that brewery until just now.
What was that called?
I have no clue.
I'll have to look it up.
I have I have 2 things that is kind of coming to my mind. Is one, I wonder if you could ramble on by yourself long enough while I went to the bathroom, and 2, it would give you a great opportunity to talk shit about the person, like we've discussed, when they stop for restroom breaks.
You don't need to take a restroom break, man.
I'm stressing today.
It's all right. Clam Lake Beer Company.
Yes. Which I found odd. 'Cause are there clams in that lake? Do clams? I didn't know clams grew in lake. I thought clams were saltwater.
So did I.
So I found that odd. It was kind of,
I don't know. Lake Cadillac, Michigan. Yeah, that was really good food and beer, and that was like the only good thing other than me finishing 50 miles of that race, because Cadillac was a piece of shit.
That was a weird town.
It was real weird. It's
super economically depressed.
Yeah, it's kind of like this.
You think you're man enough to fight me, you little shit? Yeah, 'cause you're a drunk piece of shit, Dan.
You're both drunk pieces of shit. Both of you sit the fuck down.
That's kind of like what Cadillac, Michigan was like.
Oh, that's so great. That is queued up like that.
It's like I was on the 1s and 2s mixing it up.
What's so weird is like we were even discussing bringing up Cadillac, and like it was still just queued up for something.
It works out. It's queued up. There was many conversations that you probably could have got. I would have found a way. You would have said something. I'm like, did you say South Park?
Yeah.
And you're like, no, I said none of those cardinal directions. I did not use those words. But yeah, traveling for races, I think it's just about having a plan, find a place to stay. Like I said, hotels.com is good. Airbnb, if you can find a good Airbnb, I mean, definitely hit that up.
Yeah.
Because you use Airbnb more often than
I
than
don't
not,
know
right?
the last time I stayed in a hotel.
Yeah, we usually do just.
Oh, yeah, I do.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. Well, that was weird. Last September, got it. Can't remember the last time. It's been decades. Airbnb is good. Like I said, if you have pets, sometimes it's hard to find decent Airbnb. We drive everywhere, so we don't need rental cars. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that like I would always find like a grocery store or like a local running store, because you will forget something.
Yeah.
This past race, and when I was heading out to Maryland, I forgot contact solution, which is something you need when you wear contacts. So I had to figure out, it's so stupid, man. And I literally just changed my contacts, and I had to throw them away because I won't sleep in them anymore, because I just wake up like, I don't know, zombie-eyed.
Best money I've ever spent, LASIK.
It's one of those things where way my insurance costs, it covers it. I would be paying the same amount of money because I don't pay any money for contacts. I only pay for contact solution.
So much better.
Nah.
So much better.
That's what you old people have to do.
So you're talking about how always find like always know where a good running store is close.
Don't forget your towel.
Yeah. when we was out in California, there was a running store literally right next to the hotel.
That's the
that
best.
they had picked, and we had
they had picked it. Maybe they did it for a reason.
I honest to God, I will give Chad credit. He might have, like, I don't know.
He probably did, because he's logistically sound.
I will tell you this: that place, they probably made their yearly budget off of us alone, because we were just like, oh, you know what? Just in case, we could probably use this too. But now one of my favorite running hats is from that store. Like, that's the hat.
Was it a local? Was it their hat?
Yeah,
that's what I meant.
Yeah,
English is hard today.
So yeah, one of my favorite running hats is from there now. I wear it fairly often, but they were super cool because it had gotten to the point where like we were in there a lot. And they're like, "Oh, hey, welcome back, guys. What do we need?" They're like, Jesus Christ, like,
yep, you know my name. You already have my my credit card
Can
in
you
there.
Just rerun the card again.
Just rerun it. You got it. So I hope you guys got something from this.
Other than not to travel with me.
Yeah. Or, if you want to plan everything, travel with John. If you want to plan nothing, travel with me. But I'm like a travel Nazi. You see my Froder's Alaska book, reading that. I read like 2 or 3 books. We make sure we get it all planned out.
Oh my God.
It's how it rolls. But
if you want to live life on the edge, you travel with me.
if you want to live, travel with me.
I mean, you'll live. You'll have a hell of a run.
It'll be interesting. But yeah, let's go over some local stuff that we have going on. Cool local event this week. I happen to be putting on. Hangry at Zaftig Brewing Company. Hangry Race Series, we're doing a fundraiser at Zaftig Brewing Company this upcoming Thursday from 5 to 8 p.m. Taquitos Tacos truck is going to be there. They're going to be donating a portion of their sales, and so is Zaftig on a per beer basis. So if you want more information for that, you can find it on the Hangry Race Series Facebook page, which we will have in the show notes. That's really the only thing I had that's going on locally. Is there anything else that's happening like this weekend?
I can't think of anything that's really kind of grabbed my attention.
This is like a lull time because like race season's really the end of March into like April, May. So
I know some people are putting together some big runs this weekend, just trying to get ready for like there's some big miles training runs going on this weekend.
okay,
So I'll be at Mohican Saturday.
nice.
Clocking at least one loop. No, I take it back. I will only do one loop. Like, I don't even know why.
At least one loop.
I don't know why I even began.
Mark be like, let's just do one more.
Yeah,
we'll just head here.
There will be one loop done at Mo, and then Sunday running with the boys. Sunday.
We'll have to chat about that to figure out.
On the note of social medias, something that all of our lovely listeners did that cracked me up this week. I love the fact that we're starting to get more and more people commenting on posts and pictures and whatnot like that, and like interacting and liking them or hearting them or loving them or whatever, and laughing or da 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 da. But one thing that really cracked me up is I put on a little like haha thing. I put on something like haha funny. I was like, hey, now that I got your attention, please go to Facebook or go to iTunes and rate us and give us a rate and a review. And for the amount of people who like commented and or reacted to the photo, I was like, so clearly, I love it. Thank you guys, but maybe a rate and a
John
review.
texted me. He's like, these sons of bitches.
People are fucking with me.
Like they're liking all this post, but none of them are rating anything. I'm like, oh goodness. But yeah, so you can find us on all of the social medias at Run Beer and BS. We are on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We really would love if you'd reach out to us. The preferred platform is Facebook because we can have more of a conversation there in the comment thread and stuff like that. But you can obviously comment on our stuff on Twitter and Instagram. We're probably going to start being a little more heavy used on Facebook and then posting like a lot of pictures and stuff on Instagram and like with the story and that sort of thing. So definitely follow us on all those social medias. You can find the show notes for this episode at runningbeerandbs.com/EP007. You'll be able to find everything that we talked about in those show notes. And then you can also go to runningbeerandbs.com/episodes, and you can actually catch any previous episodes we have. You can click there. You can listen to them directly in your browser, or you can see the show notes there. You can go over to your favorite podcast listening area as well.
Hey, I do have one more thing.
Yeah.
So we're talking about our episodes coming up, what we should do and everything like that. And I had someone reach out to me, which thank you for reaching out. That's what we're trying to encourage. And they suggested maybe us doing an episode for newer runners.
Okay.
And they wanted us to talk about...
Don't do it.
It's a drug.
It's a gateway drug.
It's a gateway. You will do ultras. So they wanted us to talk about when you're a new runner, what do you use to stay motivated and keep going? What is there apps you use? Is there like what keeps you motivated, keeps moving? So give that a thought, folks out there. See if you like that idea. If you have other ideas, hit us up. Let us know what some of the other ideas
Yeah, and what we can do is we'll actually post that question on social media. So by the time you're listening to this will be on our Facebook page. We'll have a post there. Just leave your comments to give some motivation and stuff like that. We'll read our favorites, shout out to some people. You can get more followers that way if that's what you're about. You're about that life.
About that. Get that clout score up.
Yeah, but just answer. Ooh, man, my throat is killing me. Answer the question on Facebook, and you just give a little motivation and insight for the new runners. We'll do that here in an episode. Maybe not next week, maybe the following week to get some time to get some answers. But definitely have that open communication with us on Facebook because we really like seeing the support and seeing that you guys like what we're doing here on the podcast. I mean, obviously, if you guys don't like it, it's really just John and I sitting in my room
Being weird.
being weird and talking to herself. And Kayla's like, "This is the voice."
Keeping Kayla awake.
Yeah, she's like, "I don't get this."
You son of a bitch!
They're nasty.
You done spilled that on my titty, skank!
Yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard Kayla use any of those words.
Nope, she hasn't, and she won't listen to this. But yeah, so where was I at? Got to find my simple notes here. But yeah, if you did like this podcast, we would love if you would leave us a rate and review on both Facebook and on your favorite podcast platform. iTunes and Google are the best ways for people to see us and see the ratings and stuff like that. So if you do use a different program, just head over to iTunes or head over to Google and leave a rating. We really would appreciate it. Share beer recommendations, topic ideas, your training, photos, anything that you've got going on. We'd love to hear and love to chat with you about it. If you have not subscribed to this, please subscribe to it on your favorite platform and share it with all of your friends. John, you got anything else?
No, sir.
Sounds good. We will see you guys next week.
Peace.